Okay, you're all set.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hold on, guys. I'm just pulling up the agenda here. I'll read the opening statement.
We got to read. We got to read the first paragraph.
Yep.
Where it says no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Before you do the opening, we do it for all town meetings.
Okay. Is that it? You want me to start?
I'll read it, and then you you do the rest. I'll just read because I do them all for town council. So
okay.
Until further, this is the Corporation of Harpers Ferry Historic Landmarks meeting, regular meeting, Monday, May 16, 2022, 7 p.m. And until further notice, the Corporation of Harpers Ferry governing deliberative bodies will hold meetings and/or hearings virtually via Zoom, which provides for public participation during the public comment period when applicable and when posted on the agenda. Alternatively, the public may watch meetings by YouTube video or listen by telephone. These options comply with the Open Governmental Meetings Act. That's it.
Okay, great. The Historic Landmarks Commission was established to preserve, protect, and foster the rehabilitation of the town's historic edifices, to ensure that growth of the community is commensurate with its historic significance. The commission operates under the authority granted to it by Harpers Ferry Ordinance Article 131 as set forth in West Virginia Code 8-26A-4. The qualifications of the commission members are on file with the town and are hereby made a part of the record of each and every action of the commission at today's meeting. The basis of commission administrative approval or recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals is the Harpers Ferry Historic District Standards and Guidelines. They are hereby made a part of the record of each and every action of the commission at today's meeting. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. Okay. Shall we say approval of agenda and announcements? All those in favor?
Well, we gotta say, we got it before we vote. We have this second. Somebody needs to second it.
I'll second.
All right.
All those in favor?
Discussion?
Okay.
I'm just giving you Robert's rules.
These are Robert's rules?
Yeah, Robert's
Okay.
Discussion. Nobody says anything, then do the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Who else? Is Tommy here? There's Tom.
Yep, I'm here.
Great.
All right. Great. Welcome, Tommy. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
How's it going, guys?
Good. Hold on, I'll just get my notes. So I'll do the since Karen is not well, so hope she feels better, and I will take notes for today's meeting.
Okay.
Now she did provide the minutes. I didn't realize that I was the only one that she CC'd on the minutes, and I sent that out, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes ago. I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to look at those. But
I wasn't at the meeting. So.
oh yeah, that's right. But so what does that mean, Steve? It was, I guess it was just you and me and Karen at the last meeting. So is everybody able to approve? How many people do we need to approve the minutes?
Just the majority.
But Tommy and you were not at the last meeting.
Yeah, I was not present at the last one.
I'll move to approve. I was.
Right.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to just do it with the two of you.
Okay. Well, I what do we say? All those in favor of approving?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I propose that we approve the minutes submitted by Karen.
Yeah. So just make sure when you do the approval of the minutes for the notes for the next.
Yeah.
Just make sure you put the vote for yourself, Guy, and Steve.
Sure.
because the other three of us, well, Karen's not here and Tommy and I weren't there at the
Right.
meeting.
Right.
Okay,
So,
good.
okay.
Yep, that's
Then
done.
do we have any public comments or public attendees today?
I talked to Deb Kelly earlier and she said nobody had signed up.
Right, no public comment today.
Okay, thank you. Then my understanding is that we're supposed to address old business before discussing new business,
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
right? So let's see. On the list in the agenda, I see we have some things, I probably should have updated this. We're supposed to find out about, I can start with number one, which is the Weaver. Well, Weaver House, I should give people an update that we should be hearing back about that grant we applied for next within 30 days. So that's a piece of news. So
Okay.
we can get that that structural assessment performed. That's going to be really helpful. So similar to a historic structures report. So that is great preservation material. Hopefully we can get the funding for that. And I'll of course keep everybody posted when we find out how that goes. Where, Christian, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to refresh my memory of where are we supposed to be on the Weaver Boundary Street wayside sign?
Right now, we've put it back into the agenda. We put it back into the budget, as I chair the Budget and Finance Committee. So it went back to our committee. We're just, we haven't announced yet exactly what we've approved. So it's sort of, at this point in time, it's up in the air, not only for this item, but for many other items. So we haven't officially approved the budget, though it was in last year's budget, but
Will
I
the
don't
committee
know.
be reporting out decisions in the next month or two, or what's the?
oh, it's going to be soon. Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying to wrap between the two 2022 budget and the 2023 budget. And
Excuse me, let me just interrupt. So Guy, you should have received an email from Verlissa this week or last week announcing to you that your wayside sign for Weaver Boundary Street was approved in the fiscal 23 budget. If that's, I believe that's what you're discussing. So
yes,
yes, that has been approved in fiscal 23 as the budget stands now. You will need to resubmit paperwork when you get to the time that you're ready to actually make the purchase. But as
Oh.
it stands, you are ready to go with that.
so
Okay.
that is really good news. And I've been out of it for a little bit, so I didn't know. So that means we have to go back through that process again, Guy, with submitting what we want to various vendors and
Sure.
getting response back.
Yep.
We do need we need 3 or more, at least 3
Mhm.
bids, comebacks. Now, it's possible that we won't get any bids, but we have to at least try.
Sure. So does that mean we can ask for volunteers to solicit bids from vendors, or
Yes.
what do you think?
Yeah. What I would do is write up exactly what we want, and I think we know what we want. I believe we
Yeah.
wanted the informational sign like the Park Service uses,
Right.
and we want that to be over at the Women's Club Park, or now, well, they're not ahead of it anymore, but they're but the park, the Town Hall Park.
Mm-hmm.
And, we wanted to do like a walkway around it. So we need to kind of put
Right.
that together, maybe a group of us or one of us,
Sure.
but put it together exactly what we kind of want. And then we need to
Yeah.
submit that back to David at least, because he initially did that, but that bid is old.
Right. Right,
So,
agreed.
I'm gonna hop in here one more time since I'm familiar and wrote the process on this, that do any of these processes do start with precise specifications? So once you get that nailed down, as you're suggesting, I would suggest that Christian or someone pop in my office. Let's get the bid procedure, what you're gonna need, et cetera, outlined, and then you guys can take it from there so that we don't end up with bids that you can't use or whatever.
Correct.
There's sometimes we only need a verbal, sometimes we need written, et cetera, et cetera. It's very simple, but let's try to do it right the first time. So only takes 15 minutes in my office once you get your specs laid out.
So Guy, I volunteer to do it or anyone else. But we need to get some stuff in front of Deb so she can help us with the process.
Well, I wanted to check with, Tommy's got the experience through his family business. I just wanted to see, Tommy, are you familiar with the people who do this kind of work? Creating signs, historic signs?
All right, what materials are we talking and making? Like a metal sign, like the
Yes.
markers through town?
Yeah.
I don't think I have any I have a lot of woodworking connections and a few like blacksmithing, but not anything, I don't believe, that would be kind of what we're talking about.
Mhm. Okay. And Steve, how about you? Do you know anybody who does this type of work?
No, sorry, I don't. You're talking about cast, like the other.
Well, it's a sign. It's the signs that are like at the pavilion, at the,
yeah,
we
they're
have
like
one
raised
up there.
letter, but the cast, right?
Yeah, they're aluminum framed, and they're about 2 feet by 4 or 5 feet. There's one in front of the Lutheran church.
All right, and they
Yeah,
have,
so
don't they have-
not the cast signs like the prize of
No,
war sign
no.
or those. You're saying the kind of slanted, large face, waist
Yes.
height sign, not the big.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
but they have raised letters on them. They're not engraved, right?
Right.
Isn't the
They're-
type
they're-
still a raised type on the
What they-
flat?
What they do is there's an aluminum, it's aluminum, I believe, and it's on an angle, and it's basically a picture they're going to make, or they're going to make it's going to have photograph in it. It's going to have
It's the one that
a lot
the
of,
design-
there's a lot of creativity to do it. That it's not just making this thing, it's the creativity of researching it and
Mhm.
coming up with what we want, what we think is, compelling information to share.
Yeah.
And David, for instance, I can't remember David's last name, but he's over, he works at the Women's Club.
That's who
down
I'm
in the
thinking of.
bottom low.
You know, a company that does this?
Well, this is what he does.
Yeah.
He used to do the Park Services signs. He's retired now, but he has a business and he does this on the side. I mean, it's a big,
Yeah.
He's very big into this.
Yeah, it'd be tough to find anybody better than David. And
It'd be difficult.
Right.
and there are not a lot of people who do this type of work. In fact, I remember last year, Christian, I was calling around and it was hard to find people. So how many bids do we need?
Well, technically we need 3, but what we need to do today or in the next few days is come up with and we might be able to use Bid Express, by the way. It's what we use for the waterworks.
Mhm.
But this might be too small of a project, but we could put it out there. Bid Express, by the way, is an internet-based bidding system for vendors to look at projects and they can bid on it. We did this for the cleaning of our tanks at the water plant. Worked out really well.
Okay.
So this is a
So-
possibility, but the person the only person I know that does this now is David.
I'm thinking SHPO would have contacts because they
Yeah.
probably organized this statewide.
Yeah,
And there was no local
that's what I mean. There
fabrication.
could
It's
be
probably
other
somebody else.
groups, sure.
But I would think SHPO would have a Rolodex of companies.
Yeah,
Probably
good
more than
point.
one.
Yeah, good point, Steve. I can check on that. But so the next step, what is the next step, Christian?
The next
You want-
step first would be to, let's get down exactly what we want. You know, if we want that type of, remember, we looked at the sign that was like the George Washington markers for the
Right.
DC, and we
Right.
decided that we would like to do this more informational sign instead.
Right.
Remember?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so we need to kind of put down on a piece of paper, okay, we want a sign like this big. I mean, you can go out there and measure what's around here. It's basically copying the Park Service's
Right.
specs. And
Yeah, they all look, they seem to be, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, aren't they all a pretty standard size?
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yep, they're pretty standard. They have to be fabricated, then they have to be mounted into the
Yeah.
ground, and then we need the bricks around it, the walkway, because it's going to face towards Boundary Street.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's room in the park for it. I've looked. I think the concept is a good idea. It's just, we have to get it on paper. What's the specs we want? How big of a sign? You know,
And by the way, yeah, I don't think I mentioned this, but since the last meeting, we believe we found some photographs of the Weaver father and son.
well, that would be valuable to incorporate that in, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Is there any?
Because that
budget-
makes it compelling. The best one in town is the one up by the Oddfellows. If you should look at the sign up at the Oddfellows.
Mm-hmm.
And David found the picture of the Oddfellow Lodge in the background. It's in there.
Cool.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll share that with you guys. There's a picture. It's actually up
Great.
at, is it Murphy Farm? Yeah, I think Murphy Farm. Where they're standing in the background of Niagara movement photo. They're tending the horses, the carriages. It's an older man and a younger man.
Okay.
And yeah, it's I'm still I've got a friend trying to find some documentation around that to see if we can get actual, like, somebody writing their names, but we've got pretty good circumstantial evidence that it's them, because it was the Weaver, George and James Weaver, who were basically the carriage operators for Storer College for these kinds of events.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll take this on if you want.
Yeah, sure.
If you could, if you can send me this, unless you want to do it, but if you want to send me what you have, then, because I don't have it, if you want to send, or anybody has anything,
Sure.
then I'll compile it and
Yeah.
get in front of Deb so we can at least start the process of the bidding.
yeah. And I think there were two stream of thoughts, if I recall correctly, that it's the story of the Union Street boundary and what the significance that carries, right, between
Right,
Bolivar and Harper's Ferry, right?
right.
And then if we can marry that with the story of the Weaver family,
Okay.
then that would be, right, two stories in one.
Yeah, you could even have one as an inset into the other one or something, depending on
Yeah.
how they relate. Quick question, is there any budget to do improvements to Boundary Street itself as part of this? Like fixing the potholes, to grade it, chip it, or pave it?
Well,
What's the plan for the street?
the street is actually not bad shape. They did a lot of stormwater work on it. So it's work. My biggest problem right now is the house that's on the right of the corner. If
Yeah.
you stand there and look, what do you see? You'll see this old house, and there's two derelict cars right off Boundary. There's a van and there's an old SUV.
This would be on the Bolivar side.
Yes. I wish there was a way we could get the owner. They're derelict vehicles. They don't run. I just feel they're detrimental to the view from there. But we can deal with that, you know, I mean, possibly we can get Mayor Vaughn involved with the Bolivar mayor,
Yeah,
Mayor
that's what I was
Dittmeyer,
thinking.
maybe reach out. But we can't do anything about the right side or facing Boundary Street. We cannot do anything about the right side, only the left side.
Who owns the street? Harpers Ferry?
Town of Harpers Ferry.
Okay. So we maintain it. We could improve it.
We maintain it. We keep it, we want to keep it a dirt road, though there's people in town that like to see it paved, but not, I don't.
Why?
I want to keep it original. The
Okay.
Park Service went through the street recently when they put in their coax cable or whatever they were putting in for the, you know, they put that all over town. And they went down that street and they did an examination of the, under the road, you know, to see if there's any artifacts or, they didn't find anything from what I heard.
I only have one question related to that. Is the drainage ditch that was constructed at some point, and that's I feel like that's a hardship for the family to access their property. And what's the process for requesting some relief for that? Either,
Well, they would have to probably go through the planning commission
yeah,
because it's an easement issue.
yeah,
I don't have all the solution, but I'm just saying that would be where to start. But the
Yeah.
planning commission gets involved in easement. So the town owns a certain amount of, so many feet from the street into what the person thinks is their property is not their property. It's actually the town property.
sure. But isn't somewhere in the law something about access and the owner having
Yeah.
safe
I'm sure there's-
access?
They have to have access, but it's the owner's responsibility to do their own. We
Oh,
don't
really?
build, we don't build apron. I think you're thinking about a driveway apron.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of taking just some railroad ties down there and building a bridge, because it's very hard for people to, you know, like the property owners even to get
Well,
to the house.
I agree. But again, you have to go through the planning commission on that because you're dealing with the town property.
Yeah.
So that's all. I would just say, get the Weaver family to, get it on the agenda for the
Yeah.
planning commission,
Okay.
not the town council.
Yeah.
Start with the planning commission. You know, we want to, I don't even know where the opening's supposed to be. They're going to have to tell us exactly where they want it.
Sure.
You know, they're not going to get the whole thing. It's just going to be, you know, kind of for the driveway.
Sure. Okay. Where are we? Do we need a motion to do something, or is it, are we
Well,
good
I
to
have-
go?
I had a question with the sign that we were talking about earlier. Are we just procedurally, because I haven't been involved in bids before, we're talking about like a couple different aspects. We've got a graphic design aspect that would have to be completed probably by one person, a fabrication aspect, and then like a landscaping installation aspect. Do we wrap all that up into one bid? Do we produce those separately and kind of piece our way through it? Or what procedurally, how do we kind of accomplish? Because I doubt we would find a one-stop shop to do all of those, right?
There are actually people that do the whole thing.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
So you could, I'm
Okay.
gonna
we
just
could
hop
split
in,
it up.
if you don't mind. I mean, it depends on what you have as specifications now. If you have all of that completely laid out, you know what materials it is, you know how big it is, you know what angle the sign is gonna be and what information is gonna be on the sign, and you have everything spec'd out, then you can send that out as a request for quote. If you would like a proposal to create and install and design, then you could generate a request for proposal. And then or the other approach would be to break it into 3 parts. So that's something you as the group or whoever's working on the specifications needs to decide. Does that make sense, Christian, based on what you know
Yeah,
about
it
our
does.
procedure? Okay.
It does. And Tommy, some people can do the whole thing.
mhm,
Some could do 2 of the 3.
right.
Some could do well,
Okay, so as long as, I just didn't know if we had the option to, if we've got an art person that we want to be involved or a fabrication, we can break it up. Or if someone can do the whole kit and caboodle and it makes monetary sense, we can do it that way
Yeah.
as well. So, okay,
That's my thought is, for a project under $20,000, usually it's just one bid, right? You assign it to somebody and they figure it out how to execute.
well, but we have to give
Fathom.
them we have to give them kind of what we want,
Mhm.
you know.
Money, the dollar amount is not really the issue in this particular case. It depends on the
Correct.
specifications that you have and how precise they are and how precisely you want them followed. So if you just have a concept of a sign, you're like, okay, this is kind of what we want. And this is the photographs we want. This is kind of where we want to sit. And we want to sit on some brick. Okay, you're talking about a request for proposal because you're asking somebody to pull all those ideas together, design them, spec out materials, and install them. If you know, I want 47 bricks for this thing to sit on. I want it to have 4 legs. I want it to sit at a 45-degree angle. I want these people's pictures in it. This is the information I wanted. This is how I want it protected. If you know that exactly, then you're talking about a request for quote. And so you as your whoever's working on developing this concept just has to decide, you know, what is it that we know about this project, and then we can work on where to go from there. So again, if y'all can just kind of like get a couple of you together and come up with what you have, I'm more than happy to try to guide through the process.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on the fire, at the pavilion, you know, with
yeah,
the fire
the
pit or
fireplace
whatever.
there.
Yeah, and that thing actually morphed a little bit even while we're doing the project. And this is how I envision this project, probably, especially the art piece, you know, the sign, the content.
Right.
I think we won't have that down. I think we really need to find somebody that knows that, who can research it, unless we have more than we got to have more than pictures. We got to have
So what's the, do we need a motion here, Christian, or are you just gonna
yeah,
take the
I
lead?
would say we do. I'll just do something and we'll try it out. I move that the Historic Landmarks puts out a request for proposal for the Boundary Street wayside sign.
I'll second that. You're saying, just to clarify your wording, you're saying a proposal to have someone come back and conceptualize for us,
Correct.
correct?
And then with a bid.
Okay. Yeah, I'll second that.
Discussion, more discussion? I just want to get this ball going on this thing. You know, we talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, 2 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds good to me. So, do we need to name, because you're taking?
We need to do
we need you?
all those in favor. We need to vote on it.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Okay.
So HLC, I'm just keeping this for the minutes, right?
It's important. This is actually needs to go in the minutes. This has to go in the minutes as part.
So now the motion we just passed was the HLC will create an RFP for the Boundary Street wayside sign, right? And
yes.
Then that's going to be you, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'll get with Deb. Well, I guess I'll do it, but you got to get me more details, as much as you guys have, or whatever we have. Give it to me, and then I'll put it together. I'll run it by y'all, and then I'll get with Deb.
Okay, so that means you need something from us.
Yeah, I may not need I probably don't need the artwork at this point, but I need to know whatever.
Yeah.
If it's like you want the Park Service sign, I know what to do, and I know the dimensions. I can go out there and measure it, you know.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think
Okay.
we can get that to you. I've got
And
the
anyway,
story on the
I
Weaver.
won't do
the Weaver
anything
family.
until you guys look at it, okay? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna,
Do you-
okay, I'll put it all on paper. I'll send it to
Yeah.
everybody. Look at it.
Yeah, yeah,
Add some comments.
yeah. Because I'm thinking the Boundary Street story is documented, right? It just hasn't been put on a wayside sign yet.
Oh, that's true. And that's exactly true. That's why we wanted to do this whole project in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say that I think the same is I have the information on the Weaver family and their significance, so I can get that to you as well. And that way, at least somebody who's doing the work, a contractor, would have the material to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Steve, do you have anything? Because you initially started this whole project.
I don't have, I mean, what I had when we were talking about a boundary marker was really just the research around
Oh, okay. Just you had the pictures of all
the
those.
pictures of markers,
Yeah.
you know, and ways of doing, you know, a memorialization that way.
And
I mean,
it was Steve's idea. This whole thing was Steve's idea.
It's your baby, Steve.
Yeah.
Who is it? Merritt? There was a whole book. Wasn't there a whole book written on Bolivar and Harper's Ferry? And the contrast between these communities? I know I've got a
not familiar with
book
it.
on this. So I can
don't
get it
have it.
for you. I have it. I've got it
Okay.
somewhere. So I've actually got content around both of these sides of the story. Okay. Are we good to move on?
Yeah. Go ahead. We're
All
done
right.
with that.
All right. So number 2 was the guidance on the Reeler family, and Karen was taking the lead on that, and I just don't know where that stands. So with her being ill,
We
I
could just
think
put it
maybe-
on to keep it for old business
right.
next time.
Any movement on the Dan Riss archive?
No. And if I remember correctly, I think we had budget for that. We just need to get it started. Just so you know how the budgeting works, if we can keep this on the cheap side, we don't have to put it to bid. It's under $750.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to have somebody look at it.
So how does that work? How do we select somebody?
Well, my druther was to start with the library, the public library, and have them maybe look at it.
Okay.
Because they know that stuff. I mean, I think, and talk to the library and get their advice on it. And,
Sure.
And there's only a few boxes. It's not like 50 boxes. It's like 2 or 3 boxes. It's not. We just need somebody to kind of go through it, look at, organize it.
And they,
Set it up for archival.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot of stuff. I've just seen it. I've opened the box, looked at it. It's kind of a mishmash of stuff. It's going to take some time to kind of get it sorted out. It's not organized.
so it seems like it might be, if I'm hearing you right, an opportunity to see if someone in the library, Boulevard Library, I'm presuming you mean, could do
Yeah.
this in their collections, digital management acquisitions department.
Yeah.
At a fixed price. And part of what we would get back, and part of the time, it's not just running the images through the scanner, because you could probably do that very fast, but it's getting the metadata attached to every photo so you can systematically search and discover things. So you want to try to get what
Yeah.
you can about in a standard tagged way on every file. What's the subject? What was the date? Who are people, if they're named?
Oh, I like
and
that.
Getting as many tags as you can.
Yeah.
And that's what you're really paying for, is so you can search it and find these things coming back.
Yeah.
But see if they would do that for 700, if that's kind of a magic
Well,
number.
we don't want to tell anybody what we can afford. We would have to ask them, could they, by the way, we support the public library financially, not saying that they owe us, but I mean, we are a partner with the
but
Bolivar
this is
Harpers
work.
Library.
Right, but this is real work for a person that's going
Yes. Oh,
do this
yes.
to do
And they
food
may,
and other
either
things.
they can do it or somebody else could do it.
So I have through Parks and Recreation here, I have a pretty good relationship with the library staff there. we collaborate on a number of projects throughout the year. So I can reach out and speak to the librarians there, and just, even if they're not the people, maybe they have contacts who are, and if we're just looking for
Yeah,
who's available, who can give us an idea of what we're getting into, I'm happy to reach out and speak to them and see what information I can pull up.
So maybe Tommy, if you took it on, Patty has the documents in the office,
Okay.
Patty Morris,
Uh-huh.
and maybe you could reach out to her, and maybe the
Yeah.
three of you, or get this, or whoever, to come over and look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll send some emails tonight to my contacts there, and I'll stop by this week and chat with them and see if they can, if they're not the right, person to do it, but they might know somebody who can. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have
Harpers
that
Ferry
discussion with
Library.
them.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to Patty as well and see if, maybe we go over and just take a few minutes in town offices there and just get an idea of what we're really getting into to make sure we're
Okay.
all on the same page as far as workload. But
I also
Oh, that'd be
tried to
awesome.
train with some professional colleagues, friends that are digital archivists at museums downtown. I think I would rather work with a local institution if we could, but if
Okay.
that doesn't pan out, I'm saying as a plan B, I do know people that do this and are kind of running digital management for like the
Yeah.
Holocaust Museum and
Yeah.
resources like that.
Well, we
So-
need to do something soon. It's been a year or two
Yeah.
since or 2 years, I think, since he's passed away, and we
Right.
just need to get it done.
well, I think Steve hit the nail on the head that the metadata is key. And I know because I've worked up the Harpers Ferry, I've worked with these archives, and I'll tell you, the having things digitized is useless. And I mean, it's so much more valuable when you have the descriptive information. That is,
Yeah, okay.
What is it? Who is pictured? What is pictured? Right? Structures, people. No, I'm serious. And that, like newspaper archives. Somebody at some point put together an amazing collection of all of the summaries, abstracts of all the newspaper articles, and it's tremendously valuable because they extracted all the names of all the people from the articles, and even that alone is very valuable for finding like just newspaper stories about people. So yeah, I think
Okay.
people in the library probably know that very well, but just to reiterate that's the level of detail that we would hope to achieve here, is that, get the descriptions of what is it, time, when was it created, if that's possible, material, what's depicted, person, place, thing, object, right?
It's a great idea, because I can tell you the Corporation of Harpers Ferry wants to digitalize everything it's got. We want to get away from paper ourselves. And this could be part of that documentation.
Yeah.
I can see, so Tommy, if you could take that on, I don't think we need a motion per se, but if you could just take that on and then
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
let us know what's going on, but we need to get it done because it just needs to get done.
Okay, and not to share, I wouldn't broadcast this out, but you said 750-ish is kind of
Well,
our
we
budget
could do-
number,
It's-
or do we have
it's-
a earmarked amount of budget that would be kind of can't go beyond this type of mark, or not to share, but just kind of to know as I'm having these conversations if something is reasonable or way off the mark?
I'm vaguely remembering around $1,000 or $1,500 is the last time I remember, but I don't have it in front of me.
Our
You
bank
said we're
balance-
talking
So-
3 boxes, not huge quantities.
No, there's the long legal boxes.
Okay. All right.
So, on the budget issues, I do remember that we had money allocated in fiscal 22, but I do not know that one forward into fiscal 23.
Yeah, it
So-
wasn't.
That
Oh.
will be kind of critical, timing wise. Fiscal 22 ends June 30.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to revise fiscal 23. So if this is still a live topic, we can try to add that into fiscal 23, which is getting very, very full with lots of expensive demands.
Yes.
But
But,
can we
we can
obligate
try
in
to roll
22?
that forward.
Is there still time to obligate in 22?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
If
Let's
we
do
can,
it now. Let's
Yep.
get it. Let's
Yep.
get it done. And, we could even do a special meeting on a Zoom meeting to approve, after Tommy, you put everything together, then and we get some ideas, maybe we do it as a motion, get approved, and
Okay,
And so what you'd want to be aiming for is you have a town council meeting on the second Monday of June, where that would need to be approved. And so you'd want to have that all tidied up by then with a proposal that needs to be in as an agenda item the Monday before by noon.
okay.
We
we're
have two
looking
and a
at the
half weeks.
6th.
So our submission deadline would be the 6th, the town council.
Yeah,
to be
so we're
voted
gonna
on the
need-
13th.
Something, the first week in June or the last week in May, but we need something.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll send that initial email tonight and start that conversation. And then I'll see if I can,
Okay.
I can keep that going throughout this week and I'll keep.
And Tommy,
everyone
you
posted.
should go see Patty and see what they are, but it's like postcards, maps,
Okay.
brochures.
Yeah, I'll stop by one day this week and take a look for sure.
Okay.
So. Perfect.
Excellent. Okay,
Okay.
Number
Back to
4.
the agenda, right?
Yep.
Landing page content. Well, I think this aligns with what you're talking about, Christian, in your email priorities going forward. So either we skip that or we dive into it now.
I'd rather wait till we're all to get Karen's here and
Okay.
that email I sent to everybody, by the way, was just my thought and how we should probably start operating. Because I don't think, as being just advisory, I don't think we're going to be in front of residents anymore. So I think we've been operating like we were the old way or a
Yeah.
hybrid way, and now we can't operate that way. We have to work with Kevin,
Yeah.
the OCO, and we have to work with BZA on their requests. And they're really going to work with us. I feel good about it. I think it's good, but I don't think we're directly going to be involved with residents anymore.
Okie dokie.
So we
Then-
could talk about that. That should go when we're all together, probably in the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Then should we talk about the new business?
Well, what about your map?
Well, there's the map. I mean, hey, it's there. It's got a lot of information. So I'm a constant promoter of this map for people. I want to include it for like I think I mentioned to you, Christian. I wanted to include a link to it on the letter stemming from the last meeting with a
Okay. Oh,
recommendation.
that's excellent. Well, that'll go into new business then.
Yeah, yeah. I
I-
want to start. Yeah.
I think your thing is awesome, and I want to incorporate it in the town website. We need to redo our website. We know we need to do our website, redo it.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful for people trying to get a grasp on what is historic in town. I think,
Hey, Guy, I'm looking at it now and I was looking at the description and there's some kind of factual errors with my property. I'm wondering, did you pull the town descriptions that were updated on
These-
the historic inventory on the town website?
this is from the National Historic Register.
Right, which has a lot of errors.
It does.
Yeah,
And we
so we
went
need,
through about 10 years ago and corrected them, but we couldn't change the National Register version without opening it up, in which case they would have taken half the town off. And we could only, that's why we have a town version of the historic inventory, which is where all the errors are fixed, or as many as we could fix.
oh,
So I'm just saying the town version is this commission's work to fix the errors from this 1980 version.
okay. Well,
1980.
Yeah, that
No,
was
no.
when it was done.
Oh
No,
my
no,
gosh.
no, that's the original, but I think that, no, the date I'm working off of the version that was updated in 2009.
Yes, but that was just pictures. They didn't change the narratives.
Okay, then,
That was.
then
that was
yeah,
a
then the
cheap
purpose,
contract.
yeah, the purpose here for sure is to to develop, because we're supposed to be submitting edits to the register on a periodic basis. And so it sounds like the town record is a draft, but what happened? So we submitted the descriptions that are in the town are more accurate, but we didn't want to submit them to the register.
The register wouldn't accept them. The only way you could, because it would reopen the nomination, and right now the political movement nationally is to have fewer protected buildings than more. And they felt that Harpers Ferry was over-described and that there wasn't sufficient justification. And so their position was if we reopened it, they would remove a lot of the protections.
Huh.
And so we didn't want that to happen. So basically it's frozen. The National Register is frozen until there's a kind of a sea change in I guess the disposition nationally of how much of the nation's inventory should be considered historic. And this is because so many things that are mid-century are now coming up to ages where they would start to classify as historic, and there's just too much for them. I mean, this is within Interior, in Department of Interior. So that's why it didn't get changed at the time. We did the work. It's recorded on the town version of the inventory, which was our effort, because things just got muddled and parts of one building were described on the one next to it. They had addresses wrong, kind of like they were looking at the wrong building when they did this. And so it's some of these descriptions are kind of a Frankenstein mixture. And
Okay.
so I would just encourage you to go back and just kind of, you can check them and then just go look at the property and see which one is more accurate.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. So, because that was the hope, was to update this record. So I guess, was it SHPO that gave you this feedback on how it would cause problems if we submitted?
Well, it was through SHPO when we were going to update the nomination in 2009 or 2006 or so. It was back then. We got the contract through SHPO, and got the historic architect, the preservationist and her crew came out, and the idea was to update all the photos, the building inventories and descriptions.
Yeah.
And so they did that work. There were still some errors in what they did. And there was things that they didn't fix that were obviously errors when you look at the properties. I mean, I'm just looking at my description here, and it says I've got an asphalt shingle roof, and I know I don't. I never did. It's always been standing seam because it's still got all of the original framework from where the sheet metal was put on.
Got it.
So anyway, so that's the story.
Okay.
And
No, good to know. So then I'll try to figure out how to make that work, and maybe maybe there's been a sea change, so we need to check with SHPO.
You could, yeah, because I mean these things probably do ebb and
It's
flow.
been 10 years. It's been over 10 years, right?
Yes. So when you do it, you got to create there's a narrative structure. You have to document the houses are exemplifying some theme. Right. And so the theme that we were trying to add into was arts and crafts, and the houses up on Ridge Street being a vacation destination from DC.
Yeah.
And do some equity work in that. And I think that's still all in the modified themes. I think those are also on the town website.
I'll tell you, because Steve, I did interact quite a bit towards the end of last year with SHPO regarding, I don't know if you were present for this meeting where we talked about Barbara Hume's house on Ridge Street.
Yes.
She was interested in having it added, and it's like mid-century ranch style home. Yep. And I went back and forth with SHPO, and they helped better define our period of significance, which was basically up through arts and crafts, basically until the point when Storer College was closed. So you could say 1954. And then that ended up being the guidance to Barbara was what's the build date on the home? Is it before or after 1954?
Okay.
and I haven't heard back from her about that yet. So, I gave some options. It was, do you have any evidence? Can you get any evidence, or can you get somebody to come in and do an assessment and date the property? And that's where things kind of left off. So I think, I'll tell you, I think everything that I've seen on the National Historic Register is definitely pre 1954.
Yes. Yeah, because that was part of the qualifying. I mean, their nominations only went up through arts and crafts, if I remember right, in historic
Right.
college. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's good to know that then I will use the latest town record and go through and start making the edits. And
Yeah, if you just start diffing them, you'll see, because it's like little things. It's not like the whole block is wrong. It'll be part of a feature of a house is like off the wrong one, and they start talking about the rank bays or the fenestration or the gabling. You kind of, if you're on the street looking around, oh, this is on that house, not this one.
yeah. Okay. I'm on it.
Thanks.
Well, then I think we're good there. Can we move to new business?
Yep.
All right. 660 Washington Street, the gutters. As well, I'll be honest. I got nipped on this myself. I'm ashamed to say that I put K-style gutters on my house when I first moved here, and I tell you, I got whacked for that, and I immediately put in the call and had them replaced with the half round gutters. And that's my position is people got to put the half rounds on. That's me.
Well, we don't have to go by just me, but we should look at our standards. And by the way, I have K gutters in my house, but that's how I bought the house. And I found when working on the yard around the house, I have the brackets for the old halftime the half gutters or whatever. But
do the right thing, Christian.
do the right thing. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Well, this must have been changed before we had these standards, which are from I forgot what year, but 2007. So 2007.
So I'm looking at the standards here on page 24, and we do already say guidelines for all properties in the historic district to consider half round replacement rather than K or OG. Downspouts, round and cross section were typical on historic properties, and their use is highly encouraged.
I think that should be our motion, is that we do that.
I mean, that's already the standard. I don't know that we need to move anything. I'm just saying, if you look in the guidelines, there's a section here on page, gutters
I
and
see it.
downspouts
Yeah.
On 24.
Well, I think we have to, or a guy's going to have to send a note to BZA, to David.
Yeah.
Just, we acknowledge it.
Now, if they're replacing and looking right above it, it does say that the standard says replacement gutters and downspouts shall match the original in size, location, and design, unless new contributing factors dictate the need for a design change. So in original, there is like what you're replacing. So if something has K gutters, like to Christian's point, you replace with K. Although you could go to round, but if you have round, you shouldn't go to K, is what they're trying to say.
Right. And I wonder, okay. I think we should I would go a step further. I think we should recommend it. This kind of goes back to also like asphalt shingles. I think I would like to recommend that if people have asphalt shingles, that they move to standing seam metal or wood shingles.
So look at the guidelines though, because this is actually the thing that we enforce.
Yeah.
All right. And we shouldn't draft contrary decisions somewhere else. We should change the thing we enforce. But then I think that's a measured process, because there is new construction in town that is not beholden to preservation. And there's a lot of new construction.
But it's a historic district. The whole, there's boundaries, right? I mean, any
The
home,
whole district
Yeah,
is
but you
historic
can't
district.
build a
The whole-
house to pretend it's old.
but you can try to fit in. I mean, we don't want people building beach bungalows, right?
And so we say that, and so there are. So I think where the group's going to, and I think we need everyone here for this discussion, is how regressive are we on houses that do not look historic, but are in functional order and have modern conversions. Because what I'm hearing you say is, you want to revert back, get rid of this asphalt, go back to
Yes.
metal or slate.
Yes.
Unlikely it'll be slate because how the roofs aren't built for it. If they're not built for it, they can't handle the weight.
Well, not slate, but metal.
Yeah.
Metal, I think, is going to be the primary, and just slate is becoming very difficult to maintain. I mean, the cost.
But we have approved alternative slates on select
Yeah.
properties in town.
Yeah.
Some have weathered better than others.
Yeah.
And there's a whole section of the guideline on that too. That's all I'm saying is that. So I think
Yeah.
that we've tried to find a balance between looking historic and being Williamsburg, which is like an extreme case, all original materials. There's no room for alternative innovation. There's no room for performance, and things that look historic.
Mhm.
And trying to do that kind of blend. And I think it's always a
Sure.
kind of a pendulum swing.
No, and I'll tell you, I'm especially sympathetic to people who have wooden homes, because I know how hard, especially the Victorian homes, right? Because it's very difficult to maintain the woodwork, right? I mean, I think Christian and I, and I think you, Steve, are also like, I have stone, you both have brick, I believe. And
I have stone.
Christian, you're stone. Yeah,
I'm
Christian, you're
wood.
stone.
And I've
you're
gone
wood.
to
Okay.
I've gone to hardy plank on the siding.
Yeah.
And I follow the park on that too. And so in the
Yeah.
park, if you talk to Peter Dessauer and some
Yeah.
of the architects there, and they'll say that anything that is like a high distance, that it's not on the primary facade at eye level, but things that are away, they try to use synthetic materials that read as wood, because the long-term maintenance is just
Exactly.
performance.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a nationwide problem. I mean, these homes, it's beyond, it's so expensive to maintain that they're just disappearing at an alarming rate. So just getting people who are willing to do the replacement with material that can look, that has the appearance of being historic, has to be the threshold nationwide, or we're just going to lose all of these homes.
Well, by the way, I agree with Steve and being flexible. The thing is, we have to make sure, it's like in that email that I sent a week or two ago. This is where we can make a difference in the town, is on these standards and guidelines. And I think we need to review them, and we need to strengthen them if need be, and then eventually get them approved by the town council.
That's our charge.
Huh?
That is our charge.
It is. And I don't think they've been looked at in a very long time.
Since they were drafted.
Oh, that's way too long. And we had a problem on that 571 Henry Clay Street with the retaining wall, because the standard, that's what BZA looked at. They look at this standard and guidelines. So,
and Steve, how do you feel about that? I mean, I know we voted on it, but I mean, you were comfortable with our recommendation, which was to please use natural material, stone.
Yes, I was, and I am, because I think up close, when you're walking and you're looking directly at something, it doesn't read the same as when it's 50 feet up in the air at a distance, right? And I think their proximity, when you're right next to something, that's when it needs to be the most authentic. It looks like, just looking through the intro to this guidelines, they were drafted in 2012, so they're 10 years old. And it's time, and if I think a 10-year cadence is certainly appropriate for review.
And there's holes in it. There's some weaknesses in it that need to be addressed.
Yeah. Well,
and you know what? BZA and OCO don't really care what we think. Really, it's what's in this document. That's what they think about, because that's
Right.
what they can support in front of a court if they get in front of a court. Really, not our
No,
opinion,
no,
'cause
I
we're
know.
only
Hello.
advisory. So
Yeah.
our charge is to make sure that these standards and guidelines are good, solid guidelines.
Agreed. Well, in terms of a motion, I would propose, I move that we request the homeowners to install half-round, historic half-round gutters.
As originally installed.
Yeah.
We're not asking them.
If
Yeah,
it was
as-
original, yes, then that was,
Yeah.
yes, that
They
is.
were
what
there
that
before.
is.
And I can provide the letter referencing that
Yes.
that comes from our ordinances and that is totally reasonable and in line with other historic towns. I think Gettysburg is
You
a
don't need
better
all
example.
that. Just
Just stick to the
whatever our
guideline.
guidelines say.
Yeah,
It's what our
pursuant
guess-
to existing guidelines.
Yeah,
All right.
And- because I think all we should be doing is interpreting referencing our guidelines. I think if we're going to revise our guidelines, to Christian's point, I think we need to think about that process so that it's open and transparent and there is a place for input and comment. It hasn't been done yet, so I don't know what the protocol is for that guy, but I think we need to just check in with somebody administrative about what's the right sequence. Do we just do that as an agenda item on these calls?
Yeah.
And work through sections, or do we go into kind of a working group as a whole, come back with a product, describe the changes, have a period of public comment? I don't know what the process is, but I think understanding that before we start is important.
Sure.
It looks
Okay.
like-
And another thing about these standards and guidelines, I was thinking, we could actually put photos in it. We can use technology with this,
Mhm.
not just written, but show photos, there's a lot more we can do. This is a guideline for people to take care of their properties,
Yeah.
not just a legal weapon, and it's to help Kevin make decisions
Yeah.
for people.
No.
See, he
Hey,
doesn't
man.
need to come to us all the time. He could just pull out the guidelines or standards and go, here, yep, this is fine.
Well, that's where I was hoping to go with the map, in that it be a digital resource, not only of what's there today, but what was there historically, and also for the type of house that you have and the period of house to have. Here's helpful guidelines for preservation, right?
So somewhere, Christian, I don't know, whoever's in the office, back when we used to have a landmarks office, I brought and donated some preservation guideline books I collected in my travels. One was from New Orleans and one was from Edinburgh, Scotland, both of which have old historic districts they protect through community with a governance mechanism like ours. The Vuckery guidelines was like a paperback. I don't know where these are because everything kind of got moved into the locked office years ago.
Oh.
Okay.
And it kind of just disappeared. So I think it's somewhere in the recorder's office. If we have a drawer or a file cabinet or
I'll go in there. I don't know where it is, but I'll talk. I'm pretty familiar with the office because I go there frequently. So I'll follow up on that.
I'm just saying, somewhere I donated some stuff that I've tried to collect what other municipalities have done. And
Yeah.
failing that, we could always write to them and get them again if we want to get beyond ours and we're looking about kind of aspirational guidance of what
Yeah.
it could be. They were both manuals. They were thick.
Mm.
And they had some really
okay.
professionally printed materials in Edinburgh. I mean, I think
See,
they had.
I think this is great. I think this is one, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. There's plenty of other towns like us that got guidelines. We could learn from them. And I think we need to spend a whole year or however long it takes to get this updated. Because like I said, we're not going to get in front of people. We're not going to be able to say what we want. So we got to get it down on paper now and get it approved.
Great. And here's a question for everybody, because I heard Williamsburg mentioned
Yes.
on the call today. I mean, I think Gettysburg is a better reference for us,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
are there other towns that are suitable kind of references for us, right?
Oh, there are.
I'm asking the question, like, can anybody think of another town that's a suitable reference for Harper's Ferry?
Well,
Sharpsburg would be a pretty direct parallel.
analog, yeah.
And do they have, do you know anybody involved with historic preservation there? Do they have I know Gettysburg has a strong historic kind of council commission, right?
What about Boonesboro? There's some money there.
Yeah, maybe them as well. Because I think that's also helpful for people, homeowners, to know that, and it's one of the things I told Christian this about the letter I wrote for the retaining wall. The one thing I regret not including is the fact that I checked like Gettysburg regulations and what they require of homeowners. And
But Guy, they don't care. I'm trying to tell you, OCO and the BZA only care about our standards and guidelines.
yeah, but I'm thinking just for other homeowners that that they,
I don't think they care.
maybe it gives them a little more appreciation if they understand that we're only asking you to do something that's being asked of homeowners in other historically significant.
So I think
areas.
if we do the research, Guy, and we find a community like that, that is all appropriate to put in the preamble of the standards and guidelines, that what we have presented here is aligned in the community. It's consistent with our neighboring municipalities, that there is a holistic historic narrative to this whole region, and all local communities try to uphold this, locally. And we've done it with the following standards and guidelines, and there's guidance in there for Kevin, there's guidance for homeowners, there's guidance for BZA, and it's a evolving document, and we should probably write down what is our policy on how and when it changes, because it's never changed. So now that it's going to change, people are going to say, well, I did it this way, and there's like a new thing coming. I think we just gotta. It's a little bit different.
God, hey, it's like persuasion 101. How do you convince people that they're abnormal? Is by convincing them what is normal. So,
well, I think our bigger challenge is what is affordable.
I can say we gotta the reason we need to update our standards anyway right now, guidelines, because they're doing the comprehensive plan. They're starting this within the year.
Yeah.
So this is part of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm starting on it. I'm trying to make a compelling argument for some of these things, and it started with the retaining wall. I'm very sensitive to the roof issues in town. So,
Guy, have you discerned do any of these local municipalities have historic landmarks commissions like ours? Sharpsburg, Antietam, Boonesboro.
I haven't checked Antietam or Boonesboro. I'm sure they do, because of course I know that Shepherdstown and Charlestown do.
We looked at Shepherdstown in Charlestown when we developed these standards 10 years ago. I remember that.
Yeah.
But it might be helpful as chair or, someone to write on behalf of the commission, just saying we are starting a revision process and would love to, exchange materials and learn that, kind of get an inventory of what is the preservation standard in the region. Do you have anything you can share, in terms of what you provide homeowners or municipal guidance, and just see what we get back.
I think that's a great idea. I think whoever suggested Sharpsburg made a good and Boonesboro. I think those are two good references, and I'll check those. And I'll also check Shepherdstown, Charlestown. So that sounds
not
like
all towns have an HLC. Bolivar does not have an HLC,
right,
for instance.
So just looking on the internet right now, I'm just doing a quick search as we're talking. It looks like Washington County, Maryland has a historic district commission. That would encompass some of these areas that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And they have, just glancing through it, a very well put together website that seems to be, I mean, I just kind of gleaning information, but it looks pretty exemplary as far as the things that we're talking about accomplishing. So if we're looking in the Hagerstown, Boonesboro, anything in Washington County, Maryland area, maybe they might be a good resource. If you just Google Washington County, Maryland Historic District Commission, they've got tabs for customer resources, notes and powers of their committee, agenda meetings, historic preservation tax credit information, historic sites maps, glossaries, and definitions for a lot of these terms. I just gleaning through this looks to be exactly the thing that we're talking about on a lot of different fronts. So I would, if anyone has a few minutes, I would recommend pulling up this website and just maybe clicking through it, because it looks to cover a lot of the bases that we're talking about,
including design guidelines for historic structures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they,
I mean, technical resources, salvage resources, links to tax credits and price breaks, like, YouTube videos. There's a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to get us on track on item 1, I'll second Guy's motion so we can get moving.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not trying to cut it short, but I mean, I'm just saying we got to get moving because we got Deb Kelly.
No, it's good.
We got a staff member with us
Oh,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So,
but yep, it's true. We got to take some time and look through the guidelines and make recommendations. So let's make that our objective for
we'll
this
put
year.
it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, and I would invite maybe I'll send out an email and call for everyone to look through the guidelines and make recommendations. And maybe I'll do my part to take the first stab. Maybe we can divvy it up.
Yeah.
I looked at Gettysburg. I think Gettysburg is a great reference for Harpers Ferry, right? Another nationally prominent, significant town. They've got a passionate historic preservation community, and they've got a lot of good content around home ownership guidelines. And maybe I'll look at them and bring back kind of what they're doing as reference, and then ask the rest of the committee to pick their town who also serves as a good reference, and see what they can bring. So number 2 is 524 Fillmore Street, old siding, hard plank lap siding, OSB wood with finish. Steve, what do you think about this?
sorry, I was lost in the Washington design guidelines.
It's a good website.
I'm just looking at their publication and within V now. I was like, okay, let me go back to where are we? Sorry. Zoom invite. This is which one? Old siding on hardy plank lap side.
We're looking to you for wisdom on this, because I think your home is most similar.
So I did it with lap siding or a German siding, a 7-inch reveal on the lap, but you want to get it to kind of match whatever they have now. It's probably 6, 7, or 8 inches. You don't want to expose the faux wood grain. You want to use a smooth finish, because milled wood on the lap siding would not have had an exposed grain, and the grain that hardy plank uses isn't real looking. It doesn't read, like it's too big on the fabrication, and so the SHPO standard is to use it but with a smooth finish, and it is a SHPO accepted alternative product. And I can look in the appendix A to see what we say about that. If fiber cement lap siding must match the width, profile, thickness of traditional, install smooth side out. Application may be used to replace wooden lap siding on a contributing structure or on new construction. So our standards describe it as appropriate to use.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's got great performance. I've been very satisfied with mine. I think it reads like wood siding from the street. If you look at on your map at the picture of my house at 156 Public Way, you can actually see the new versus the old because you did a quarter profile in the picture. And the front porch is still the old siding and the side is the new. So you can kind of see it's literally side by side.
Oh, nice.
If you zoom in on it,
Okay.
'cause
Yeah,
we
let me
haven't done the front yet. The front will be done with the same. It's just, we're still finishing the back before we
I think
come back to the front.
it's probably worthwhile for me to share this just for the team. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yeah, I see your map now.
Yeah, let's zoom in and see if we can get these photos.
Yeah.
And I believe this is it, right?
Yep, that's it. And that's the photo, yeah.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
not getting the best
Well,
resolution
if you
there.
click on it, it might open up the picture. Did it
Oh,
open?
I hope.
I was just
Well,
looking
you-
at a big version of the picture a second ago from your
You
side.
you were looking at, you were able to click on it?
I thought I was, yeah. I did something and it got large.
I've got it pulled up on Google Street View, like if you on Google Maps, and you can zoom in real close on it and definitely
Okay.
see what you're saying is the side of your home
Is-
facing down the hill is
The
the
white-
side that you've redone, and then the front is not
The original,
finished.
yeah.
Okay.
So the white is
The white
hardy
versus
plank.
the off-white eggshell.
The almond, yeah, thing is the
Okay.
rotted original wood. And so that literally at that joint where they come together, you can see it
Yeah.
corner to corner, how it matches up.
Nice.
And to me, it reads like wood. The new
That
stuff.
works for me. I tell you, and anybody who's dealing with wood, I think we've got to try to be helpful.
And that side of, especially the side that guy's showing right now is right next to a 30-foot drop. And there's no way you can get ladders up there to do any kind of maintenance on that side
Yeah.
because that's park property. I've only got a 2-foot easement on that side of the house. And so once the scaffolding came down, it's like, basically, I'm not going up there again for the next 20 years. So I can't get to it. So I know that there's other houses that are in crazy positions that are difficult. And I think that's another reason I'm accommodative of things that read like wood, but are going to be high performance, just because otherwise people will defer the maintenance.
So Steve, do you feel just because the house on the one on Fillmore that we're talking about is going to be at eye level as opposed to your house kind of elevated? Do you think up close it carries that same visual that?
Well, I'll tell you
you're talking
another
about from
one.
the street view for yours.
Look at 183 High Street, which is the big building that has all the shops in it and the steps kind of across the street from me. It's got the corner, the coffee bar in it, down from the Wax Museum, or up at Battlegrounds. Go up. Sorry, no,
Here?
no, close that. It's over on the other side. Oh, yeah, I can't see what you're.
Battlegrounds Coffee, that building.
Yep, it's
Oh,
up
okay.
the hill. You're going the wrong way. Yeah.
Oh, wrong way?
Yeah, it's up there, Battlegrounds Coffee. It's got the green roof next to the rabbit hole. Go up the hill.
Up and left,
Okay.
guy.
Keep going up. Keep going up.
Here?
No, more.
No.
3 more. You're gonna have to drag the whole map a little bit.
It's one house up
Oh.
from where you can see.
Oh,
Yeah, right there.
Battlegrounds.
That
Yeah,
one.
that one.
Now that side, that whole building, all the way down through the stairs is hardy plank as well.
Oh, no. What's going on here?
Okay,
Yeah.
try the other one. You're at 180. I'm not sure. Maybe that's,
I know the one you're talking about. I think that
This
visually,
one?
yeah, there it
Yeah.
is. So that's Hardy Plank above. And then all the
Oh.
way around that corner, because that's the front of it. But all the
Yeah.
way down on the, as you're looking at the right-hand side, is 3 stories of it and it's at eye level. And that was the first application that I remember us approving in town. And then it was redone after the fire. This is the building that caught on fire
right.
back in 2014.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it
Okay.
was all redone. So that would be another example.
Can I ask on this house on 524 Fillmore Street? I pulled it up on Google Maps. And are they talking about doing the entire house or just the one side? Because most of the house is brick.
I believe it said in the there was some emails about it. If I remember correctly, they said it was only for the addition that the
Okay.
brick would stay.
I'm all
Correct
for
me
it.
if I'm wrong, Guy, but I think that was in the emails that you had sent out regarding this one.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to find 524.
It's the
it's
old
on Fillmore.
headstone, the memorial right that's across from the old funeral home.
Ah,
It was where they had they
There
made
we
the
go.
headstone. No, further down where it says Jefferson County Monument on Fillmore Street, go down
Go to
about
the
2
left.
blocks.
Go to the left, all the way to the left.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, go up.
straight up
here?
across
No,
the street, Jefferson County Monument.
Here.
Yes, sir, that one.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's an old brick home that has a siding, I'm assuming addition off of it.
You're right. Okay.
Well, that's vinyl siding. I'm all for moving that on if they're willing.
Right.
Or it's aluminum, but it's covering something.
And that
So-
one looks a little bit bigger, like that's maybe an 8-inch reveal from lap to lap. Just guessing, looking at it from here. So as long as it matches, I think I'm just going to repeat what it says in the standards. Just, they got to match the width, the profile, and thickness.
Yeah.
The width is the reveal, how.
Right. Okay, then what's our motion?
Need to do a
here?
motion. Because
I'll
this
move.
motion, after we approve it, this is what we have to give Kevin, so he can notify the owner.
Yep.
So I would move that we would recommend approval of a cementatious siding product in accord to the standards and guidelines that matches the width, thickness, and profile of the existing structure in accordance with the standards and guidelines. If I didn't say that.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need to distinguish in that recommendation, as you said, Steve, that it is the SHPO is recommending the smooth side out versus a grained face on it?
It says that in the guidelines, and so I think if we just say if it's applied in accordance with the standards
Pursuant
and
to
guidelines,
guidelines.
it
Okay.
should follow that. But we could add it to just say smooth.
It may be good to mention that
Yeah,
if that's the way we want to take it.
yeah. I'll add that. Yes.
All right.
Are you
Just note-
modifying it?
And I
Well,
agree.
if you modify the motion, we either have to do another motion on top of the existing motion, or if both parties cancel out their motion, we can do a new motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, I withdraw my second.
So I'll remotion that the commission approves the application for cementatious siding at at the stated address, which I don't have in front of me.
It's
Uh,
524 Fillmore Street.
524 Fillmore Street, and in accordance with the standards and guidelines of Harper's Ferry, with specific attention to the matching the width, profile, and thickness of the existing siding, and an installation with a smooth finish.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Discussion,
Discussion?
in case somebody has something to add. Nobody says anything? Now go ahead. For a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. But make sure after the meeting, Guy, oh, is everybody done? Okay. Just make sure after the meeting, you send a copy to Kevin.
I will. I'm taking notes.
And maybe BZA as well, both. Just always send it to those two. David and the chairs, the chair for BZA, David, and Kevin, the OCO.
Yep.
And by the way, the OCO is a very powerful position. I was reading, let me tell you.
That's good.
It is good. That's where they moved the power away from some of the other groups to him. So we can act quicker.
Uh-oh, we lost Guy.
I think you lost Guy. Geez. Let's see if he pops back in here a second. Give
Okay.
it a little minute.
You might have clicked just the wrong screen to close it. I've almost done that.
That can happen.
While we're
That was
waiting,
your last agenda item?
We have two. We have paint colors, and then we had
Oh,
So paint
colors.
colors I can offer is also in the standards and guidelines on page 31.
31.
Yep.
So I'm having
Hang
a
on.
hard time locating my copy of the standards and guidelines. Is there somewhere I can quickly access it?
Yep. Here, let me put the URL in the chat.
Thank you. I've been digging through all of my stuff, and for some reason I just can't pull it up. So I appreciate
Where
that.
is, how do I
guys rejoining now?
how do I get to the chat? I see raise hand. Is there no chat in this?
Oh, because we're in a seminar or a presentation. Other than a
Okay,
meeting.
Tommy, if you go to the town website, harpersferry.wv.us/ordinances/appendix-a.pdf.
What I would do, Tommy, is download it. That's what I do, and then I have it downloaded to my computer. Then you can search it easy.
Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
a PDF document. And it's under the town ordinance. It's in, it took me a while to find it. We should probably link to this from our page because we
Yeah,
don't. have a link.
I was clicking through the website page, and it was
You got to go to the codified ordinances, and it's all the way down at the bottom of the list.
very
is
bottom.
Appendix A.
Yeah.
okay. Let's see. What did you say it was titled?
Appendix A.
Appendix A, standards and guidelines. Part 13, zoning and subdivision code.
Part 13, Appendix A. There we go. Got it. Thank you. I will just save that to my desktop so I don't have
There
to
you go.
record
That's
again.
what I try to do.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Y'all have Guy back now, so I think you can proceed
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you'd like.
Yeah, hey, and that's the thing. I think Appendix A is nearly impossible to find from a mobile phone, for example. This is something I encountered when a couple weeks ago the mayor was texting or emailing frantically about a house down on Potomac Street that had been painted vibrant blue. I'm not sure if you guys saw that email chain.
Oh, it's
Oh,
still
yeah.
blue. It's still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, but even just figuring out, what our ordinances include regarding paint, which is rather limited.
That's right.
You like from a mobile phone, you can't get this information. It's not accessible. So
Well, that's why I was saying we should probably rework our webpage once so they are mobile.
Well, I
phone
told you.
friendly, and they point
We
right
know
to
it.
Appendix A.
yeah,
All right. So anyways, Guy, while you were gone, I was pointing the team to page 31
uh-huh.
in the appendix, which is our statement on paint.
Yeah, right. And
And-
hey, from my read was we have no authority to regulate paint on anything that is supposed to be that was originally painted. So basically, if masonry, right? I mean, if masonry
right.
or stonework was originally painted, then it's okay to be painted. If it wasn't, then don't paint it.
Right.
That's
And
my
the
read.
colors, we can't, we've
Yeah.
had some hellish colors choices over the years on various structures.
Yeah.
And they change in time. People have mortal lifespans, others buy the house and colors will change, or weather. So I'm not going to fall on the sword over the blue. It's
Yeah, and I agree with, I think, I spoke with Christian about this, and I'm inclined to agree with Christian that there were some pretty, I don't doubt that there were some pretty wild colors during the historic period here in town, and that I think it's maybe not within our top priorities to rein in colors when there are really much higher priorities. So
yes, exactly. And that has been the position of this commission over the years. I mean, there are towns that do regulate color, and there's nothing that will create a disincentive to support historic preservation than to tell a property owner what colors they can or can't use.
Right.
You can look at the French Quarter, New Orleans, where there's 12 approved colors you can pick from.
Right. And
and
so,
having lived
really,
there, I just know what all the neighbors thought of that.
Did you really? You
Yeah.
live there?
I did my
cool.
postdoc in New Orleans.
No kidding. My wife is dying to move there. So
I have
I
a
have
story
yet-
sometime to rethink that.
oh, good. Yeah. We now that COVID is abating, we have to barbecue.
Yeah.
I definitely concur. And I think Christian expressed the same sentiments to me that controlling color is a losing battle for historic commissions.
And it's not historic. I mean, we think that there was some aesthetic palette in the past. There was not. And the colors were more restricted and more garish. And so to be authentic is to actually be a little bit more upsetting than what we're doing now with kind of a free market approach that lets people kind of converge on colors. You get some outliers, but again, this stuff will change. I'm just happy that building has windows in it again. That was something we worked as a commission with the owner back in, I guess, 2010 or 11 to get the windows replaced.
Yeah.
The roof restored. So, I mean, I feel like that structure's a win in a way, given the condition it was in.
But they ripped the old windows out. They put in vinyl windows with no permit.
Did that just happen again recently?
Yeah, it happened a couple months ago.
Oh, because the windows that were there before that, we worked with them for months to get the windows put in.
Well, they ripped them out. And they're not even put in right. Take a walk down there. You'll see what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, so that's something I would jump on more than the color.
Yeah, well, that in my opinion was the real issue.
Right.
Oh. So
Yeah, they ripped out all the lower windows and put in first 2 floors.
Yikes.
They're not multi-pane anymore. Single pane.
Because we had worked hard to get the divided lights.
I heard. Oh, okay. Oh.
Oh, well, all right.
And the color, there was a lot of community angst over it. I believe Mayor Vaughn visited with the owner, and the owner has he asked them, and I think he's going to change the color. But the roof is also bright blue.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I shared the email, I think, with you guys just to provide some minimum recommendations that the closest minimum recommendations for color that nobody should be able to object to, right?
Well,
All right, guys, I don't know what else we can do. I mean, I think if we're going to talk about paint color, and then this is going to go back to revision to the standards and guidelines.
yeah, let's talk about it, for the standards and guidelines. Good, right, good idea.
Okay. Is there anything else on the agenda?
Yeah, the last one is important. That's the welcome letter.
Yes.
To new owners. There have been so many new owners in the past year, and that's why we're
Yeah.
starting to get people not doing permits
Yeah, I
or
agree.
not following guidelines. So I suggest the
agree.
letter with the
Yeah,
appendix given to everyone. Just give it to them. You
Yeah.
can tell them where to look, but I think it's better just to make a copy. These are new owners. And also the permit forms.
So how
With a
many
welcome
new
letter.
owners are we? I don't know what we consider new, or what's kind of our audience for new homeowners in the town. Just
Technically, I think eventually we need to send it to everybody to remind them. But
Yeah.
I think new
that was
homeowners.
kind of the impetus for the question there. Is it better
Yeah.
just to
Let's just send
Kind
it to everybody.
blanket?
That's good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was thinking the same thing. Better to just send it to everybody because a lot of these issues, people have been here for a while. I mean, years who are making changes. So I agree with that. Let's send it to everybody.
Yeah. Well, also who to contact, to get the permit process going. There's a lot to do. And didn't we work on a letter before?
Well, I was
Wasn't
starting.
Karen going to work on it?
Maybe. Yes, you're right. I believe you're right. I started just today. I started a short list of like top 5 issues that I feel like we're seeing. But Steve, I think, made a good point that maybe my top 5 will contrast with what's in the ordinance, and that it's going to be confusing, so that it's better just to keep it limited to what's in the articles.
It probably is. And you, Guy, what you could do is there's a monthly town newsletter, and you can also, as a chair, you can submit articles to Patty to be put in there. I don't know how many people read it, but
Right. But I do see some towns doing this, like please do, please don't, kind of like highlighting, because, reading the articles can feel a little dry. And I think we're in the situation where, I don't know how many pages the articles are. They're many, many pages, right? But what are we really concerned about? We're really concerned about roofs, windows. Well, I mean, those are like the top ones, right? And then exteriors, retaining walls, driveways, maybe fences and gutters. And maybe I'd move gutters up because people are, the gutters are getting, we're causing some problems. Do you hear what I'm saying? Does anybody agree?
well, this thing is a little long. It's 63 pages.
63
64 pages, double-sided.
Yeah. So don't we, like common media culture, don't we want to cherry pick some of the top issues? And how do we communicate what the top problems are? I mean, out of these 64 pages, I bet it's one page of really serious issues that we're dealing with.
And just look at the issues that you're dealing with. Usually it's around fences, roofing, siding,
Right.
windows.
That's my point. Yeah. And maybe I'll go through and cherry pick from the ordinance. So that's a good point. Steve, I think what you're saying is extract the exact wording from the ordinances if we're going to do a summary.
The letter could point by URL to the whole document online so people could find it quickly. And then you could copy out, like you're saying, the parts, and here's highlights of,
Yeah.
kind of the things that homeowners kind of go to first, and then there's more, and let them know that, and you could maybe just do the table of contents or something to say, here's everything that's covered. But, here are the ones
Yeah.
that we get a lot of, that we work a lot at the
Yeah.
commission.
What do you think about that, Christian? I don't think we're going to print.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I think it's good. Pick
Right?
the top 5 or 6 and.
Because what's our budget here for something that's going to go to everybody in town? How many, who's going to do that?
I don't
Printing and
know.
shipping?
All I know is this is really, we should be doing, I don't know about an all letter. I never thought about doing the entire town. I thought about doing new owners. But I'm sure we can find a way to do this.
So
I feel like-
apologies for popping in again, but as a person who works in the town hall, I really like the idea of sending out a reminder once a year to everyone who lives in the town. That way you scoop up all the new people and the older people who've been around. People need reminders, people forget. I love the idea of saying, here are, the top 7 offenders or whatever you want to call them. And here's where you find information. That's what people want to know when they call in. Where do I find out what I can do and what I can't do? And that's just a 1-pager that's consolidated. And if there's not room inside of your own budget, I think in the town hall budget to circulate to our 200 and or so homes would be plausible.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can do it, and I'll take the lead on that. I can do that.
I think this could be, I don't know if we want to do too many things at once, but Guy, this could be, if we did a mass mailer, this could be a way to get your map kind of out into the hands of people to, like Steve was mentioning earlier, there are errors, there are mistakes, and the people that own those homes probably know better than anyone. Even if we had scan this QR code and find the history of your home today, or some just quick little, a quick hit, something that could also kind of get the ball rolling on that would be I think a good use of resources just to get the map you've built into people's hands.
Yeah, I think it's a good move, and I can work on that. I think I can get that done.
Yeah, I think there's appetite for the whole town, and the staff in the office, the mayor, the town council, they want it.
Yep.
And especially with the historic standards, we have so many people moving in this community that don't realize this is a historic community. I'm serious. They they just think they could do what they want, and they can't. They shouldn't have moved here then. They want to do what they want.
Yep. I agree. All right.
Okay.
I'll take that on myself. I don't think we did a motion about that, right?
Okay.
Let me draft that. Keep working on it. I'm not looking at the agenda. Is there anything else we have?
We're
guys?
done. You
that's
just
the
do a
end.
motion to end the meeting and
Okay. No, hey, I thought it was productive. It was good. A lot of ground covered. Long meeting tonight, so appreciate it. Especially you, Tommy. Appreciate you. Love having you here with your background. Of course.
Yeah,
Steve, as
I'm
always.
still at the office. This is my late night at work. So
I know.
I just stayed after work, and
I know. I can see
what a
that.
trooper.
so
we
yeah,
appreciate it. You can see we're all working from home, so we appreciate you staying late at the office, especially.
you can see just a fun glimpse in my office at Parks and Rec has a fun collection of pool noodles, bows and arrows, and sewing machines and Legos in the background. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, good
All
meeting
right.
tonight.
Well, thanks to you. Thanks to everyone. Everyone, hope, what do we have to do? A regular motion? I motion to.
I move to
adjourn.
close, end our meeting at
Right.
8:40 set, whatever,
Okay,
end
I
our
second.
meeting. All those in favor?
All those, aye.
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 Aye, aye. All right.
Night. Good night, everyone.
meeting.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.